Okay, and this one, probably what you guys are thinking now is, oh my goodness, I can't have aspartame, I can't have gum, I can't have sugar-free, I can't have sugar, I can't have high fructose corn syrup. What can I have? Very legitimate question, one that I get often from people. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly show you some of the sugar alternatives as well as caloric sweeteners that I would use in my own house. One of the biggest ones that I recommend to people, and I'm sure several of you have heard of it before, is stevia. Stevia is an excellent non-calorie natural sweetener. It comes from an herb, the stevia plant. It's very, very concentrated, and so just a little bit goes a very long ways. Now you can buy it in two different versions. This is a liquid version. So you've got a dropper like that. That's your stevia. And seriously, just a couple drops is all you need in most products. I add this to teas or to coffees. I think it does work better in cold drinks as opposed to hot drinks. Some people will notice a bit of an aftertaste in a hot drink. This is also used to flavor yogurt. I have a lot of success with that. So what I'll do is I'll buy some Stonyfield, I'll let you guys see it, Stonyfield organic yogurt, plain, whole milk. We'll talk about that later. And then I will add a flavored stevia to it. Another one here is lemon drop. Let's see if you guys can see this. Light's kind of awkward. Lemon drop flavors. Anyways, they've got a lot of different flavors of this stuff. So I will take my plain yogurt, if somebody doesn't like plain yogurt, add a little bit of the stevia to it, maybe just a couple drops, at most 5 drops for a serving. And there you have a sweetened flavored yogurt. This stuff can also be used to bake. It's a little bit more difficult because you have to experiment and figure out how much you need in a recipe. It's, like I said, it's not a 1-to-1 ratio by any means. As an alternative, there's another brand here called New Naturals. The first brand that I showed you guys is Sweet Leaf. Sweet Leaf is probably the most common brand that you'll see. You can buy these at Kroger. You can buy them at health food stores, but they're a lot more expensive. You can buy them on Vitacost.com. That's usually where I would order them. This bottle's about $10, but it will last a very long time. I think I've probably had this one for over a year. If you'll notice, this one is root beer flavored. Here's another idea. I will buy carbonated mineral water like the Perrier, add the root beer flavored stevia to it, and there you've got your soda alternative, and it's a healthy alternative at that. New Naturals I was trying because this brand is known as having a little bit less of an aftertaste. Some people notice an aftertaste in stevia and others do not, and it really depends on how the manufacturer has distilled the plant and what part of the plant that they have used. This one is supposed to be a very good one though. Alternatively, you could buy a little powder. Now this is truly the pure plant and you need very little of this, but it is another alternative. What some people prefer is stevia in the raw. Stevia in the raw is mixed with dextrose. Dextrose is a type of a corn sugar. It's a little bit of a filler. Obviously, this is not the highest quality stevia that you can buy, but for a lot of people, they feel that this works better in drinks. And if it's between this or aspartame, you better believe I would rather people do dextrose and stevia as opposed to aspartame. So this is definitely an alternative. I'll let you guys take a look at that. You can buy that at Walmart, Meijer, just about anywhere. Okay, those are non-caloric sweeteners. Another non-caloric sweetener would be xylitol and erythritol. Both of them end in OL. They're both sugar alcohols. I don't have a sample of them with me right now. I will forewarn you, some people don't do very well with sugar alcohols. It is a better alternative than, again, aspartame or Splenda. It's not always the best for some people, though, because their body just reacts to it. They get a lot of bloating sometimes. So I try a little bit with people, but I don't necessarily recommend it for everybody. It's not an unhealthy product. It just, there's not really any health benefit to it either. It's just another sugar alternative that is deemed safe. Okay, now with sugar, obviously when you're using sugar in general, the general consensus, as you guys should know now, is you minimize all usage of sugar. If you can cut it out of your diet entirely, do so. You've got to watch the amount of added sugar that is in your diet. Read those labels. Sugar comes in a lot of different names, as you guys have seen now, And I guarantee if you just simply try to eliminate it, you might get your levels down to what's considered a normal healthy amount. Now, when you are baking and cooking, there are times when you need a little bit of an extra. So I do recommend coconut sugar. Coconut sugar is very unique, particularly, you can see it's kind of dark brown. See that? It's a little bit unique in that it does not feed yeast or bad bacteria in your gut. So if somebody is dealing with a gut infection or a leaky gut or a lot of digestive issues, remember guys, digestive issues right away are like big red flag, you've got leaky gut. If you have a lot of bloating, your stomach hurts every time you eat. I noticed a lot of you mentioned that in your introductions. And every single time you've got to start out cleansing the gut and getting the gut in order, getting the probiotics back in there. But a lot of times that involves eliminating sugar for a while. So when that happens, and when I have to deal with people in which they need to do this for quite some time, stevia is acceptable. Coconut sugar is acceptable. They do not feed yeast in your gut. So with gum too, I had mentioned xylitol. Okay, gum is one of the primary places where you find aspartame. And so I do recommend sugar-free gum. Of course, you don't want to chew on gum with sugar. You'll end up getting cavities. This is found at Meijer. This is a fairly new brand. This is only sweetened with xylitol, which is, again, it's a healthy sugar alcohol. So that's a decent brand of gum. Another one would be Spry. If you've heard of Spry, they have breath mints and stuff too. You can order those on Vitacost. Another good option. Okay, for those of you who are not dealing with gut issues and who just simply want to be able to bake cookies for your kids once in a while, again, that's the key, once in a while, Sucanut is an option. Okay, this is basically raw cane sugar. And I don't know if you guys can see, again, it's kind of dark brown. See if I can give you a closer look. So kind of grainy, but it works very well. You use it 1-to-1 pretty much. That I do use in my house. I use it to make granola occasionally. Honey is a good alternative. Just don't pour it on everything. Again, typical Americans, they want to sweeten everything, so they'll go through this like it's nothing. Okay, luckily honey is expensive, and I say that because it helps you not to use as much. If you can buy it local, if you can buy it raw, those obviously are the better options. Purified honey doesn't have near the amount of nutrients in it as raw honey or local honey, but I do use honey occasionally. The other thing, if you do have, say, healthy pancakes or waffles or something for breakfast, maple syrup. But don't get maple flavored syrup, which is everything in the middle of the grocery store. All it is maple flavored high fructose corn syrup. You want to use the real deal. So the real deal I will use occasionally. The last thing that I have here, blackstrap molasses. Okay, lots of different health benefits from this one. Gives you a lot of iron for those of us who tend to run anemic a little bit. This is a good option. So again, it's not necessarily something you want to use frequently. None of these are things you want to use frequently, with the exception of the stevia would be okay because it's not technically a sweetener. It's an herb. But those would be my recommendations for sweeteners that you could use. There are a few others out there, but those are probably my most common ones. But again, the goal for all of this, remember, is really decrease the sugar in your diet. I cannot emphasize it enough. That is why people end up with leaky gut. That is why they have digestive problems. I mean, it's not ultimately the cause, but it is at the root of the cause. So you cannot have a healthy gut and get all your probiotics in order and heal the gut like what you need to if you're consuming a lot of sugar. And I also guarantee this is part of the problem of the obesity epidemic. If you start cutting sugar out of your diet and not going to the alternatives, I'm not saying to use Splenda and aspartame and sugar-free products. I'm saying learn not to need sweeteners on everything. Learn to just enjoy the taste of food. And I'm a very big person for spicing. So spice up that food. Don't make it plain and bland. Healthy food does not have to taste terrible, but try to kick the sugar habit more than anything, and you will be rewarding your health for years and years to come.